Did y'all see him? Y'all saw LeBron James, right? Clearly he wanted to be seen showing up on the Pat McAfee show today, talking a little bit of smack, by the way, about yours truly. Okay, he had his say. My turn. Stephen A. Smith Show in the house. Let's roll.
Oh my God! Yes!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. As always, I'd like to take a moment to thank my subscribers and followers over the last 23 months or so. Millions of downloads, courtesy of iHeartRadio, not to mention 1.15 million subscribers we've accumulated over that same period of time as well. Can't thank y'all for the love and support enough. I truly appreciate it. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your love and support. Please don't think that I ever forget that. I always know that. We all know where I need to start today.
All right, good. Thank goodness.
It's with some sports talk, media news, and my good friend, Mr. LeBron James. LeBron appeared on the Pat McAfee show today and made a few headlines with his thoughts on a number of topics, including yours truly. For those of you who didn't see it, I'll play it for you right here. This is LeBron James on Pat McAfee talking about me.
Which leads, obviously, to you and Stephen A. Hey, legit, that feels like a moment that had been brewing for a long time.
He's like on a Taylor Swift tour run right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're watching it. Yep. We're all seeing it.
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing it as well.
He literally, it started off with, I didn't want to address it.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it. But since the video came out, I feel the need to address it.
Yeah, on fire. You would be not to talk about it.
Are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait to the video to drop so you could address it, it's your ass. Like, seriously, he completely missed the whole point. The whole point. Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job, to criticize or to, be in a position where, okay, if a guy's not performing, that is all part of the game. That's all part of the game. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. And I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know that he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna be smiling from ear to ear when he hears me talking about him again. Oh my God, he's gonna get home and grab some ice cream out of the fucking freezer and sit in his chair in his tighty whities on the couch.
I hope at some point you two do get a chance. But you're right.
Dude, relax, bro. Relax.
Stephen A. Smith is going to hear Stephen A. Swift for at least a good 3 months. At least a good 3 months.
Tighty Whitey's comment was funny because I don't wear tighty whities.
Oh, this nigga. Oh, man, Stephen A. I will say this, my nigga. You are so entertaining to me, my nigga. I can't even lie. Bro, oh my God. Why are you taking all of this personal, bro?
Let you figure out why that is. But
what? What the fuck? Bro. Oh my God.
Moving on from that particular subject, I don't happen to consider anything that LeBron has said a laughing matter. So y'all wanted me to be serious, I'll be serious. And I know there's some people out there that's going to be like, oh, I'm milking the story for all it's worth. Well, I've been winning in television for quite some time. I don't need an incident like this to talk about LeBron, and I don't need an incident like this to get ratings. LeBron gives us plenty of ammunition to talk about him, both good and bad. So that
doesn't mean that you're not milking the situation, though. And your ratings would be even higher with this happening. You can't sit here and say as if this situation doesn't do wonders for your ratings. That may already be high. No one's not denying that this is easily the biggest point in your career in quite a while. So yeah, you're milking it. You're milking it. And again, that's okay, but don't be in denial about it. And furthermore, it definitely don't got nothing to do with ratings because you've been on other people's platforms to talk about it. So at that point, what does the rating argument have to say anything about it when you've been on other people's platforms to talk about it? We already out here lying. Wow.
Let's get that out the way first. Let's also get out the way that major props to Pat McAfee for getting that interview. There's a lot of people that's been texting me, and he's a teammate. He's on ESPN. Why would he do that? Please, y'all, be quiet. Pat McAfee did nothing wrong. Pat McAfee did his job. Pat McAfee has a show that airs on ESPN. You have an opportunity to get LeBron James, you take him. I don't give a damn who you are. This is one of the greatest players in the history of basketball. You get him. If you have an opportunity to get him, you get him. And I didn't think that Pat McAfee disrespected me or did me wrong in any way. He did his job, and I got no problems with it. My issue is with LeBron James. And I just want to say for the record, LeBron James is full of it. And in this particular instance, as it pertains to his son, he is a liar.
Oh, wow.
And he went on national television today and he lied again.
Oh, wow.
You see, when he approached me while I was sitting courtside at that game against the New York Knicks.
No way!
When he rolled up on me, I didn't know he was going to roll up on me. I had no idea. But when he said what he had to say, I was in no position to give any kind of retort without making a scene. It was during the third quarter. It was fresh out of a timeout. It was him walking to the basketball court. It was on national television.
Bro, get me, stop with all the fucking excuses, my brother. You are the one who for years has been saying, you know where to find me. You know where I'm going to be at. You know where I'm at. That's been you for years now. So now, when it was, don't make me come in the locker room, when you were approaching NBA players, maybe not on their terms, and you were threatening to come in the locker room, that was okay. I'm at the games. I'll be at those games. You don't want to make an enemy out of me. When you were doing all that, when it wasn't on the NBA players' terms, and it was okay. But now, when somebody actually figure out, let me check the temperature, let me see if that's real or not, and check you whenever the fuck they felt like it, now all of a sudden you got excuses to why you didn't give a certain response. Spare me, bro. Spare me.
The cameras were rolling, and had I done something, what do y'all want me to do? You want me to act? You want this to be a reincarnation of Chris Rock and Will Smith? And let me state for the record that while we bring up that, let me assure you it wouldn't have gone down like that. I would have gotten my ass kicked, because had that man put his hands on me, I would have immediately swung on him. Immediate. That I'm not going to tolerate. But I knew he wasn't going to do something like that. There was no fear in my mind about it. It was shock, because as I have repeated.
So what's the point of bringing? I am even in the full context. I am still lost behind what was the purpose of any of this. What is the purpose of you bringing up a hypothetical about, he would have put my hands on me and all that stuff? Neither one of y'all were going to do that, because both of y'all are aware enough to know that y'all are in the middle of an arena where there's hundreds of thousands of people watching y'all. Of course you weren't going to do that. Of course he wasn't going to do that. What's the point of even bringing some silly shit about that up? What's the point of feeding into that? As a black man, why would you even dare bring that up in a conversation when you were being confrontational with another black man? What point does that make? Because anybody who has brought up that noise and nonsense is foolishness. But here you go, entertaining it. But I know why. Because you are so insecure with your masculinity as a black man, you got to make sure you defend it every single time. That's the reason why you got offended when the whole comments about Max Kellerman, and you get offended every single time some numbskull talk about how, LeBron and you gonna fight. It's all nonsense. You don't have to address it. That's silliness.
Look, go to Bron's IG story.
See, this nigga Bron trolling the fuck out of you, my nigga.
I was not talking about his son. I was talking about him. And whether it's the video that you saw him a couple of days later after that incident when he was talking to Richard Jefferson, my colleague at ESPN, before an ABC game in Boston when it got blown out that night by the Celtics, or in the aftermath of it, including Pat McAfee's show when he talked about me getting personal and taking it beyond basketball. I'm getting to a point where I'm getting very annoyed at people who cover the game of basketball, who cover professional sports, pundits out there, including him, his inner circle, his family members, and everybody else included. When are y'all going to ask him or hold him accountable for the truth? I have not been talking about Bronny James. I have not, as LeBron James accused me of doing to my face, been shitting on his son. I clapped back at D. Wade and Melo, two brothers I love dearly, when they were talking about this, even though 99% of the stuff they said was right. It was not clapping back at his son. Your second round pick, 55th overall, there's been plenty of second round picks that have to work their way up through the ranks before getting to the pro level. Pointing that out about his son and talking about how his son has been pushed to the forefront, thereby put in a line of fire for folks in the media to come at him, is not denigrating his son. It's simply highlighting what we all knew, which is that he's not ready yet. But based on what we've seen from Bronny recently, there are indications that he will be.
But this is where, again, and I wanna be clear. I cannot say this again enough. When you look in front of a camera and you say, I am pleading with you as a father, that is, I don't understand how you don't think somebody is not going to take that personally. That is beyond the scope of basketball. It's much more beyond that. You are questioning the integrity of that man as a father. That has nothing to do with the sport. And come to find out, you have yet to apologize to him because I guess as a father, he might have actually raised an NBA player. Because come to find out, he's much closer to being in the league than what he actually is. And the fact that you would have to admit, basically less than 2 months from when you made that claim to what you said about a week ago, is that you were wrong. The reason why you have to make a 180 that quickly is because you were speaking through a lens that was massively ill-informed. You going on a platform and showing lowlights of Bronny, even when you're not even talking about Bronny, but showing lowlights of Bronny because he had a bad game and telling us his fourth quarter blowout numbers instead of articulating what he's doing in the G League is disrespecting who Bronny is as an athlete and as a player. If I were to sit here and try to make it seem like John Stockton's, the latter part of his career is who he was as a basketball player, or Michael Jordan with the Washington Wizards, or I was running around talking about Charles Barkley's, the latter part of his career in Houston and using those numbers as if like that was a representation of who he was or who those players were as NBA players, you would deem that as disrespectful because it is. The man has a sample size in the G League going up against other professional athletes who are trying to reach the next level, and he is looking far better than many of them, most of them, while being significantly younger than most of them. So for you to not utilize that information further did nothing more but perpetuate an inaccurate assessment of who he was as a basketball player. And the fact that I, with the little podcast mic, have to sit here and explain that to you further lets me know that you are not in this to be accurate, to be honest, and to be genuine with your assessment of who Bronny is. You are in this for ratings. That's what you're in this for. You're here to perpetuate and push this narrative that Bronny was not yet ready for NBA level minutes, even though he had proven more than enough evidence that he indeed was.
And as LeBron James pointed out on the Pat McAfee show today, it's probably sooner than later because his growth and his maturation from just a year ago has happened by leaps and bounds. Nothing but respect and appreciation. Wishing Bronny nothing but the best. This is not about Bronny. This is about LeBron. This is about LeBron. When you sit up there and you talk about, I love talking about, I don't need something like this to happen to talk about LeBron. He plays for the Lakers. He is LeBron James. I don't need an incident like this to talk about LeBron James. And do I use him for ratings? You're damn right. Like I use anything in the news for ratings. Because I'm a reporter and a personality and a pundit and a commentator. That's my career. Of course I talk about him. Of course I talk about anything relevant in the news. 1 minute it's LeBron, another minute it's the Cowboys. Y'all act like that's all I talk about. For 2 hours a day, 10 hours a week live, all I talk about is LeBron and the Cowboys. Are you sure? Because I can pick a whole bunch of things I've gotten in trouble for opening my mouth about. But that's neither here nor there. Because let's not get distracted from the real point at hand. The real point at hand is this. LeBron James continues to lie. He hoodwinked y'all into thinking that he was upset about criticism about his son. If your son is a professional basketball player, and I was talking about your son as a basketball player, since you just went on Pat McAfee's show and said you would never knock anybody for talking about the game, then what is it that I said? What I said was, as a father, stop.
Oh my God, you're saying it. I guess he just doesn't understand how crazy it sounds to say, as a father, stop. And again, you would have to now start to admit that you are even wrong in that assessment if you're now saying less than 2 months later that you were wrong about Bronny. So that means even by your own standard, what you said about LeBron is still wrong. Holy fuck.
I wasn't talking about you as a father, as somebody that's home minding your business, and I just call you out because your son is in this position. That's not the father I've been talking about. That's why I've been addressing Draymond Green, who's been an avid supporter of LeBron on this matter. All I'm asking is for comprehension of the actual point. How do you mention Bronny James without bringing up how he got drafted by the Lakers? How he got drafted, period. How do you bring that up without bringing up LeBron James saying he was better than some NBA players before he got to the NBA? How do you bring that up without bringing up that LeBron James said, quote, if you want me, draft my son. At this point, it ain't about the money. I'll play for free. That was LeBron. How is it? I mean, I understand cynics. I understand this penchant to just hate the player and not the game. I understand how it's tempting to just come at me because you might dislike me or might disagree with me if you're Joe Public or Susie Public out there. I get it. But don't the truth matter? Because there's one person in this ordeal that's telling the truth, and it's me.
Jesus Christ. Okay, let's break that down. Stephen A. Smith, in his assessment about Bronny and how he got to the league, and even him being drafted by the Lakers, fair enough. I think that's a fair assessment. How I do believe there was some finagling behind the scenes that inevitably got him for the Lakers, right? However, Stephen A. Smith, you cannot have it both ways. You cannot say that he's not prepared for the NBA, but still have somewhat of a problem for him to get drafted by the Lakers. If he's not prepared for the NBA, I guess he would have not got drafted, period. And then I do believe that is a valid criticism in real time when it was happening, because there were real questions and concerns about who Bronny was as a player. But now, with more information being given to us, that question no longer exists anymore. Bronny is producing at a level that, in all honesty, far exceeds the 55th, excuse me. It far exceeds the 55th overall pick in the draft. Far exceeds it at this point. He is not someone that is barely hanging on by a string to stay in the NBA. He is someone that has a spot and has deserved and earned that spot based off of the more information that we have received from him due to his play in the G League. So I agree. The assessment of who Bronny was early on in the path to where we got to now would have been fair criticism. The problem is that you decided to levy this criticism towards LeBron and Bronny at a point in time where it was no longer fair anymore. The questions of if he belonged in the league, those questions were done. We were done with that already. We were done.
I don't lie to y'all. His ass lies a lot. And there's a lot of shady stuff that he does. And one of the things is his passive aggressiveness and the two-facedness and smile in your face and dig you behind the back. I happen to know that about him, which is why I don't like him, and he don't like me.
Oh, wow.
But it doesn't stop me from being fair and calling it like I see it. We ain't exchanging Christmas gifts. We ain't having Thanksgiving dinner together. What you bring your son up in there for? What you bring your family up in there before? You gonna go on Pat McAfee show, talk about you gonna protect your house. What you talking about? Your son ain't at the house. He's at crypto.com arena. We ain't covering him in Brentwood. We covering him in downtown LA at the crypto.com arena, where you put him.
This is where, like, I guess Stephen A. Smith is just going to die on this hill that Bronny just doesn't deserve to be in the league, and he doesn't deserve to be drafted with the 55th overall pick. I guess you're just going to, if that's the hill that you're going to die on, I guess you're going to die on it. And again, this is the other part of it, where when Molly called him out on the bullshit about the JJ Redick situation, where she said, hey, are you going to give LeBron credit for bringing in JJ Redick as a coach? Because the criticism behind it was that he brought in his podcaster, and come to find out, JJ Redick actually is a really good coach. And then he tried to pivot and finagle his way into something else about, oh, well, it really wasn't about that. It was about, if LeBron is the reason why Bronny, and this is where even I don't like to speak this nasty about this, a bunch of narrative bullshit, but if LeBron is a reason why Bronny is now on this team, I guess LeBron is an amazing GM, because he got a hell of a pick at the 55th overall selection. A hell of a pick. Most players at 55th overall ain't doing nothing. I guess he did a hell of a job. So I guess at some point, you would need to shut the fuck up and start praising him as a general manager. But see, if we do that, then that's a problem. That's a problem. So you can't have it both ways. You can't place it at his feet when it's time to criticize him about putting his son on the team, but then when his son plays significantly better, or when JJ Redick exceeds expectation, and then somebody asks you, hey, are we going to give LeBron credit for bringing in these pieces that we also gave him blame for over the summer? You can't then say, I don't know. I'm gonna. It's not about how he brought JJ in. It's about how he did it. So you gotta pick a side. You playing both sides of it. So if you really feel this way, then I guess you need to start congratulating LeBron as a general manager. Hey, with the 55th overall selection, you got a hell of a pick, Bron. Hey, I guess that vetting situation with the podcast that we called in Minding the Game did a hell of a job because you got a much better coach than Darvin Ham, significantly better coach than Darvin Ham. Hell of a job, Bron. But that's how y'all want to, especially if you're going to die on this hill that you believe Bronny did not deserve to be selected then.
Now, I happen to believe that he's going to be ready. I think Bronny's going to be an NBA player. I believe in the kid personally. But LeBron did this. Now, to get to he and I, could y'all please go back?
Honestly, so what did he do wrong then? If you think LeBron did it and you think he's going to be an NBA player with the 55th overall pick, then what's wrong with it?
To the video of him getting in my face. If you watch, ladies and gentlemen, and you see it for yourself, notice how LeBron is in my face. And right when he finishes, he looks past me right at the camera that was filming it.
Stephen A., you are losing it, bro. You're losing it. You're losing it, bro. You are losing it. You are losing it, Stephen A. Smith. You are losing it.
Oh my God, Lola Brown looked at you.
This is actually crazy with my name right here.
I didn't even pick that up first go round. You got Markieff Morris to my right, his left. You got Scott Brooks, assistant coach, behind him. He finishes talking and looks right up to the camera. Everybody and their mother knew I was going to be there because when you sit courtside, the Lakers have an idea of who's going to show up. He knew I was coming and picked the third quarter in the middle of the game to say what he has to say to make sure the camera's rolling and to then look at the camera after immediately saying what he said to me with me having no chance to respond.
Bro, Stephen A. Smith, you are losing it. This would also have to then imply that he also saw the camera in the huddle during the timeout, made sure the camera was recording him while he walked up to you. That's what this is implying. Nigga, it's LeBron James in the middle of a timeout stepping to you. Brother, there was a whole nother angle of it as well. Several people recorded this moment. To even believe that LeBron set this up is crazy. But again, even if you think that he did, or at least he did it with the intentions of someone going to record it, even if you think that's the case, that's something that you had to open yourself up to when you were telling NBA players, you know where to find me. I'll be at the games. I'll be courtside. What you thought, niggas was going to approach you and no one was going to record? You invited this. Nigga, you sound like a conspiracy theorist right now. You are losing it. You are losing it.
We could have went to the back after the game. LeBron James could have came right over the press row and said, yo, don't leave. I want to see you after the game.
Or he did it on his own terms. And you're basically just upset that he didn't do it on your own terms. Well, nigga, you don't get to dictate that shit. He approached you when he decided he wanted to approach you. Stop inviting niggas to approach you when you're at the game courtside. What the fuck?
Any of these players or any professional athlete or anybody associated with them says another syllable, think about this. 99% of y'all would have done that. Y'all have said, Stephen A., don't leave. I ain't see you, bro. After the game, LeBron didn't want that.
Well, 99% of them don't have to deal with the same criticism that you are levying towards him because they don't have their sons in the league while they're all still playing with one of the major media pundits pleading with them as a father. So you utilizing what other players may have done throughout your past when the situation is not the same.
Because LeBron would have had to deal with my response. And my response would have been, you did this. This ain't me. Don't put this on me. Why the hell are you putting your son in this position knowing we got to cover him? If we don't cover him, we ain't doing our job. Why would you do that? That's what I would have said to him. But he didn't want a response. He didn't want that because LeBron wanted to give smoke. He didn't want to take any. What am I talking about? Even more nuggets of info to give y'all on that point. Brother don't like smoke. He just likes to give it. Typical bully mentality. It ain't working with me. What am I talking about exactly? I'll tell you.
Typical bully mentality. Y'all niggas talk about how Michael Jordan was a bully all the time and y'all fawn over it. You had Spike Lee saying that he called me a bitch and it was an honor that he called me a bitch. Spare me.
Who believes he's up here. And folks, particularly in the media, are down here. There are exceptions. in moments that he needs others. But that's who he is. Cool. LeBron has a show called The Shop. Once upon a time, Rich Pauls, the Maverick Carters came up to me, gotta have you on. I said, simple and plain, no problem. Only on one condition. Two conditions, I'm sorry. LeBron must be there because there are times where The Shop was aired and LeBron wasn't in attendance. I said, I show up, LeBron has to be there. Number one. And number two, no editing. Don't edit shit out. Cliff note stuff, clip things, cut it out. Nah, let the public see. I know if I told him to come on First Take, he ain't gonna want to do that because he views that as benefiting me. I know that if I wanted him to come on this podcast, he view that as benefiting me. Ladies and gentlemen, I offered to come on his spot. Name the time and place and I'll show up. By my damn self. I was never taken up on that offer. Because you see, it's real easy to talk that talk like you got all the facts when I'm not there to respond. It's another thing entirely if I'm there to refute all the bullshit coming out your mouth. But this is what he does. It's what he's always done. And then he looks at everybody else and he say, this Stephen A. Man, please, whatever. Why do I take this so seriously? Because you got cats out there trying to give the impression that I come after people's families. I need y'all to pause for 1 second. And I just need y'all to think. I'm just talking to the professional athletes out there. I'm not going to even mention any names. Who have rallied to the support of LeBron like he's this big victim. There are owners. There are general managers. There are coaches. There are other players in other sports, what have you. Nepotism exists in every form of business we can muster in our minds. It's okay. It's okay. But when have you seen someone demand that the public stands down while somebody has lifted up their offspring before it was earned? When has that happened?
Our president. Matter of fact, I think y'all employed somebody at ESPN by the name of Michelle Beadle, who also did that as well. Matter of fact, I think y'all do that to the whole Lakers front office all the time as well. That's just we do that all the time around here. And again, I think that Stephen A. Smith's criticism would have been legitimate. It would have been fine. Somebody said you did that. You did when you went after Kyrie, and then Kyrie had to tell you and his dad to chill out. Yeah, I remember that as well. Yeah, even that was kind of OD. Again, I feel like a lot of this stuff would have been fair criticism to Bronny during the summer, but you decided not to say anything during the summer. That's on you holding your tongue during that point in time throughout NBA history or the timeline. I wasn't going to do that. I still don't think nepotism is a good thing. But you're too late to the party of criticizing what's happening. There's more information now. So this argument of he didn't deserve to be drafted, it is quite literally, that's not true anymore, bro. It's just not true. It is factually incorrect now. So you can't, this is not a hill that you can die on anymore. It's just not.
I'm not talking about Bronny now and what we're seeing. I'm not even talking about Bronny from a month ago or whatever. I'm just talking about, in general, what the whole spectrum, before he bounced the ball, what we saw, what we witnessed LeBron doing and manipulating. Tell me when we've seen somebody do that for someone who was universally recognized as not necessarily ready yet. Not that he wouldn't be, but not necessarily ready yet.
Bro, that is a lot of players.
That's what he asked of us.
Bro, that is a lot of players in the NBA draft who are not ready yet. The draft, it's very rare that you get a ready-made prospect, bro. Most of it is nothing but potential. Most of the players are drafted off potential, not that they're ready to be in the NBA right now. But again, bro, I think this has been a fair criticism in the summer, but right now it's just a bad way. It's a bad way to die on the hill. I just don't get it.
So I, again, was talking about dad as in, yo, he's in public eye. Don't expose him like this to us because we got a job to do. Don't do that. That's all. I wasn't the one that brought up the legitimacy of his McDonald's All-American appearance on the roster.
When was the last time we had a ready 55th overall pick? I don't know. I've never heard of one. I've never heard of us having a ready, NBA ready second round pick. I don't know when that has happened. I don't know when the last time we had a ready-made NBA player that was drafted outside of like the top 10. I don't know when that has happened.
Numerous people pointed to other folks in high school basketball at the time and they were questioning their worthiness. I didn't do that.
I guess you should have, nigga. I don't know.
When he had the heart ailment, oh my God, I hope he's okay. When he decided to pass up staying at USC and turn pro, cool. When opening night took place and the Griffies were in attendance, I was in Crypto.com arena standing clapping. All of that got ignored. Why did it get ignored, ladies and gentlemen? Because LeBron, it wasn't about the problem that LeBron had about his son. It was LeBron having a problem and finally finding an excuse to do what he always wanted to do, which was confront me in an unfortunate and public platform.
What? Oh my God, bro. This nigga is demented, bro. Oh my, you think LeBron needed an excuse to approach you? You ain't gonna lie, Stephen A. You going outside, my boy. You going outside.
I'm not going to go as far as I want to go in saying how weak that stuff is in terms of how he confronted me. I would have waited. I got nothing to say to him now. You know, we'll probably never speak in life again. But if he wanted, you know, I wish he had the shop. I wish he invited me on. Not my platform, his platform. You can't defend the stuff that he's done. You have no idea. But he knows I know. We want to go there, let's go there. Slithering and just through stuff and always with the two-faced nonsense. Ooh, y'all don't know the half. Y'all
say it. So shit. Hey, you can win a lot of points right now in this argument by saying it. Just say it, bro. Just say it. Just say it. Say it.
Oh, no.
Just say it, bro.
So when he went on Pat McAfee's show earlier today, it was no surprise. The show that comes on after first.
I don't think that what Stephen A. Smith is lying. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of narcissistic tendencies that LeBron probably has. I think most people at that level do. I'm pretty sure they do. I'm not even denying that. But nigga, say it or shut the fuck up about it. Like, I don't know, bro. Say it. Here goes this nigga real talk. I mean, you do. you do.
First take. The show that stars me. I know that you got a new podcast coming out with Steve Nash. No surprise there. JJ Redick, Steve Nash. No surprise. Got the podcast coming out. Definitely want to promote that basketball podcast. And we should watch it. We should learn because LeBron knows more basketball than most people forgot. Just like he said to Pat McAfee. His mind. He thinks the game. Most of these people rely on their athleticism and their talents and their skill. He relies on his brain. He's absolutely right. And he knows basketball backwards and forwards. That has nothing to do with how you've treated people. That has nothing to do with the things that you've said. That has nothing to do with you confronting me about doing my job. And everybody wants to look at it and say, there's a father, there's a father, there's a father. Because I said, as a father. I stand by that. Not because he's Bronny's father. I stand by it because he was the one putting everything on public display. We didn't have to know that he didn't care about, I'm sorry. We did not have to know that he was willing to go someplace else practically for free. We did not have to know that it was not about the money. We did not have to hear him say, you want me, draft Bronny. We did not have to hear him say, my son is better than half the players or some of the players in the NBA right now before he ever played an NBA game. You did that. That was LeBron James who did that. He wasn't asked that. He wasn't asked his level of culpability in all of this. He goes on there and he talks smack. Cool, I got it. It's
the other thing that really bothers me. Even though what Stephen A. Smith's saying is true, I want to be fair to Stephen A. What he is saying is true. All of those things that LeBron did, without a doubt, put spotlights on Bronny. However, it's a fucking cop-out because LeBron wouldn't have to say anything and you niggas still would have believed whatever you would have made up regardless. You still would have done that. There's several times where LeBron will actually say the opposite. He will go out of his way to say, oh, no, I'm not involved in it. Oh, I don't want to have no decisions on what's going on in the front office. Oh, I don't want this and that and the third. And you niggas will still come on the next day and say, now we know LeBron, he got something to do with it now. We know that. So though what you're saying is true, it's a cop-out because you all would have still said something about Bronny regardless because it's another way to attack LeBron. Point blank, period. And also, it's another way to get ratings.
There's really not much else to say other than this. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very important that you understand what I'm about to say. To me, anyway. I'm not a liar. You might not like what I say. Every truth ain't meant to be told. But I don't go on the airwaves and lie. I did not know we were being videoed at courtside. He was walking out of a timeout. I did not know initially that after he finished getting in my face, he looked right up at the camera. Go back and look at the angle. I didn't know that.
But there's no way this nigga said, I don't lie, to go right back into a lie. There's no... Nigga, you're in crypto arena, and it's LeBron and you. There's no way. Come on, Stephen A. Come on. There's no way that you didn't think y'all were being recorded. And again, I want to be clear. There's another angle behind LeBron James. Oh, fuck, bro.
I didn't know that. When I went on the air the next morning, we had a morning meeting, at which time I said to the staff at First Take, I don't feel like talking about this. And then minutes later, they said, it's the #1 trending topic in sports. You have to talk about it. The bosses, you have to talk about it. What do you mean you ain't talking about it? This is what you do. This is sports. This is a sports story, and it directly involves you. What you mean you ain't talking about it? He might think I'm salivating and I was happy to discuss it. I'm not happy to discuss a dude getting in my face, telling me stop shitting on his son.
Again, Stephen A. Smith, and I'm getting tired of this because we got a lot more to go. Bro, again, if you had just talked about it on the ESPN, then I would understand where you're coming from. Brother, after that, you went on your own platform and talked about it. You then went on other people's platform and talked about it. All that shit about what somebody else made me do that shit is done the day after you got done with the segment on ESPN, and then you went over to your own platform and talked about it again, bro. So that goes out the window. And you've talked about it on your platform 3-4 different times now. Even this, we're 30 minutes into this and you're still talking about it, bro.
I'm not happy about that.
Oh man.
I think Savannah is the first lady of the NBA. I think she's an absolutely wonderful human being that has always been nothing but kind to me. You think I like the thought of pissing her off? Gloria James, an absolutely wonderful person that I have seen over the years and has never been anything but the most pleasant person in the world to me. I don't like the thought of upsetting her or anybody that cares about him. I certainly don't want to hurt Bronny. I'm rooting for the kid. But the news is the news. The sport is the sport.
Man, this is like peak level gaslighting. Holy fuck, bro.
And the story was the story. So LeBron could say anything he wants, and I wanted to talk about him or whatever. And I'm going to continue to talk to you about you, bro. When you retire, let's see how much I talk to you about you then. You won't matter much. I promise you. I won't be talking about you much when you stop playing. But as long as you're playing, I'm going to talk about you.
That is also just a lie. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man. This is crazy, bro. Bro, let's be honest, Stephen A. Smith. There are other players in the NBA now that you don't talk about over LeBron. Stephen A. Smith, there are moments in which LeBron doesn't play basketball. Y'all still find ways to talk about LeBron. Right? The same way that you all attempt to draw comparisons from one player to Michael Jordan, you all do the exact same thing from one player to LeBron James, because that's the nature of the company that you work for, especially since LeBron owns so many records, so many statistical records. And if you think you're not going to talk about them, and maybe right now you think you're not, trust me when I say your daddies over in ESPN, they're going to tell you what to talk about. They're going to tell you get right in front of that camera and talk about what they tell you to talk about. The same way you now trying to convince us that you didn't want to talk about this story and then they made you talk about it, they're going to tell you the exact same thing. Hey, Wemby, he did something crazy. And it's actually the first time we've seen it since LeBron. Nigga, you going to talk about LeBron when they tell you to talk about LeBron. Ain't no other way around it. You gonna get to talking about LeBron when they make you talk about LeBron. And when a Wemby does something amazing, and they gonna sit here and say, oh man, this is the first time we've seen it since LeBron. The same bosses that told you to talk about this story, since you're telling us that you didn't really talk about it, but your bosses told you to talk about it, those same bosses are gonna tell you to get in front of a camera and talk about LeBron. And you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna say, yes sir, master, yes sir. Anything for you. You know I can't wait to sign that new contract. So whatever I needs to do to get my ratings up, that's what you're gonna do, because you've been doing it. So all this sounds cute and nice now, but don't say what you're not gonna talk about. I ain't gonna talk about you when you're done. Nigga, you talk about him when he's not playing. You talk about him in the off season. Y'all talk about that man more than any other NBA player. And so when them people at the top tell you to talk about something just like they told you to talk about this, you're gonna sit there and say, all right now. Of course now. I'll talk about it, all right? And you're going to get in front of that camera and gets to talking about it, nigga. Because that's all you've been doing. Absolutely.
And I'm going to be very objective about it. You deserve praise, I'm going to give it to you. You deserve criticism, I'm going to give that too. But at least I'm going to tell the truth instead of lying like LeBron James has been lying, using his son as an excuse to say what he said to me. He has a problem with me. He knows good and damn well I wasn't shitting on his son. He has a problem. And instead of talking to me about it, he came at me when I wasn't in a position to respond. And then when he wanted to respond and elaborate, he went to Pat McAfee. Major props to Pat McAfee again for getting it. Anybody would have gotten it. Damn it, you did it. I have no problem with Pat McAfee whatsoever with what he did with this interview. I'm not insulted or offended or betrayed by a teammate or anything like that. That's nonsense. He did the right thing. LeBron is the culprit here. But far be it for me to say that about King James. Kings don't get blames. I guess that's why he's not my king. I got more to say about some things he said about other people. This is what happens when it comes to LeBron James. And by the way, this is the thing that is just so funny. You know, weeks ago when I got annoyed at something he said, he was talking about people shitting on the game every day. Wasn't it LeBron James that shitted on the NBA in the play-in tournament? Wasn't it LeBron James that showed up and notified the NBA at the last minute that he wasn't going to be participating in NBA All-Star Weekend? I don't know whether it was because he didn't like its new format or not. Wasn't it LeBron James who would reportedly sit in the locker?
Like, this is what I'm saying. Even when there's nothing there, they still just make something up. They said that he's injured. He still's just running with some other shit. So again, this idea that the reason why we have to talk about Bronny this way is because of the things that you did for it. No, it's not, bro. Y'all run with whatever narrative you want to run with. There was information out there that he was injured, and yet you are still talking about how he didn't like the new format. So that's the reason why he didn't do it. What the fuck?
Locker room with players, and Dr. J and Larry Bird talked to the players about playing hard and giving the fans what they want to see and how important All-Star Weekend was. And the NBA thought that the players really had bought in until LeBron James gave the players a side eye, and then all of a sudden they went out and allowed almost 400 points to be scored in the last All-Star game before this one just passed in 2025. Wasn't that LeBron?
So
I told y'all when he took his talents.
He's now saying because LeBron gave people a side eye, that was enough for everybody to get the understanding to not try in the All-Star game.
It's the South Beach. Ain't nobody gonna say I had a complaint about that. My complaint was about Kevin Durant going to Golden State after being up 3-1, losing the series to them, and then joining them a month later. But we've been past that. We've been over that. And I wish Kevin Durant nothing but the best. Clownish comments about me and all. But LeBron James, I certainly never had a problem with LeBron James going to Miami. Nothing's more special than South Beach. And that brother had me in South Beach 4 consecutive Junes. I was grateful to LeBron James. I wasn't mad. But when he decided to take his talents to South Beach and did so without showing the decorum and respect of at least giving Dan Gilbert a heads up that was what he was going to do, because he decided to, run an event essentially with Jim Gray sitting down. And
why does he? This is another thing that I don't understand. And maybe you don't understand it because, again, you are a company man, right? That's what you do. You were at a point in your career where you were struggling to find a way. You had to have somebody else take you out of the fire, the flame of being irrelevant and Skip Bayless. And so ever since then, maybe you deem it necessary to be a good boy and a good company man to give a heads up to the big bosses upstairs for whatever decision you decide to make. Maybe that's you. But nigga, in a sport where they trade players left and right every single day without giving any of them a heads up, matter of fact, will get in their face and lie to them and say the exact opposite. I don't owe Dan Gilbert any explanation of what I'm going to do with my life. I don't. I don't know. This is another thing that he is dying. This is another hill that you're dying on. It is free agency. I gave you 7 years of my career. If you decided to piss it away because, for example, you didn't want to trade J.J. Hickson for Amari Stoudemire, then my nigga, I don't owe you nothing. I don't owe you nothing.
He talked about generating over $2.5 million for a worthy cause. Fair enough. But it being televised on ESPN and ultimately making his announcement that he was taking his talents to South Beach. Did y'all remember what happened in the aftermath of that? Remember a collective bargaining negotiation that followed where players were stripped to 7% of basketball-related income? I mean, Commissioner Stern and those guys were coming forward anyway, but nevertheless.
Okay, so if they're coming, oh my fuck, bro. This obsession with blaming LeBron for everything makes no sense, because then you would also have to acknowledge that right after that CBA went through and there was a lockout, the years following, because LeBron decided to go to Miami, raised a level of interest in the league of heights in which we had never seen post-Jordan, that it then gave the leverage back to the players for them to earn the type of money that we see out of them from 2016 and onwards. So if you're going to blame LeBron for the lockout, even though, like you said, they were already coming for the money anyway, if you're going to blame LeBron for the lockout, then nigga, you would have to blame him for generating so much interest that the NBA players and NBA around the world, me and you included, nigga, you earn more money because of LeBron James. How dare you talk about your daddy this way?
But there's collateral damage that he leaves in his wake all over the place.
Bro, I'm not gonna be able to make it through this. I'm not. Chat, I'm not. Bro, the whole league has been for the better. Oh my God.
And other players don't usually see that until it's too late. But we don't talk about that because he's box office. And he's phenomenal. And he's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. And where he goes, ratings follow. And because of that, we gloss over those facts. But those ain't the only facts we gloss over. When LeBron talked about the media weeks ago, what does he do now? He comes on Pat McAfee's show again today. And listen to what he had to say. Listen closely. Check it out.
See a lot of shit too. Like I seen Brian Windhurst on one of these shows not too long ago. Like
Wendy.
Yeah, you played with Bros.
Wendy, you guys played together in high school.
Yeah,
right?
St. Mary's.
He's on your high
this guy was like, says he's like my best friend. These guys are just weird.
I have worked with Brian Windhorst for years. Never once did he say that LeBron was a best friend. A matter of fact, years earlier, it was LeBron who sat in front of the microphones and said, probably nobody knows me better than Brian Windhorst, who's been covering me since I was in junior high school. But that's how he talked about him. Brian Windhorst is an exceptional commentator who does a phenomenal job for ESPN. My show, Get Up, NBA Today, Sports Centers, goes and covers the game. He is one of the elite people covering the NBA in this world. And nobody, I repeat, nobody defends LeBron James more than that man. And look at what LeBron James did. Y'all have watched Wendy Report for years. Tell me.
I think Shannon Sharp defends him. But to be fair, I thought the stray from Brian Windhorst was kind of crazy. At least in that capacity. If you show the rest of the clip, he furthers highlighting how Wendy making an assessment on why LeBron decided to sign with Nike. And this is something that even people in real time are like, or maybe I just signed with Nike because I wanted this amount of money for a brand that made a lot of sense at that time within their culture. I do think that Wendy making assessments on why a teenager decided to sign a multi-million-dollar deal, I think is a bit excessive. But overall, I do think that the Brian Windhorst stray was a bit excessive from Brian.
Tell me one thing that Brian Windhorst has done to negatively impact LeBron James. One, take your time. I'll wait. Nobody is more fair. Nobody digs deeper, maneuvers through the crevices to find the positive about LeBron James, no matter what the story is. But that's how LeBron talked about him. He doesn't stop there, though. He also went into today's players compared to yesteryear. I thought that was a subject he didn't want to touch. I thought that we should just have an appreciation for the game and not really compare. LeBron James was one of the people that told us that until he had the platform event. And look at what he said.
Every single day that he's better, he's not better. He wouldn't. You trying to tell me Giannis wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the 70s?
Nah, and Stephen A. Smith, this is where you lose it because you're taking this clip out of context. Because again, everything that you said, that he said, he literally stated it before this clip. All this is him responding to people disrespecting players of today's game. You are purposely taking the clip out of context. You are stripping the context from the clip because everything you just said and said about, he doesn't want us to compare. We just want to accept players for where they're at and in the era they played in. That's literally everything. That's the entire conversation leading up to this clip. This clip is doing nothing more but responding to the people who do indulge in that nonsense behavior about a player not playing well in certain eras. But literally, majority of the conversation is him saying the exact same thing that you claimed that he didn't want to say. He actually said it. This one, you lose me.
Handshake. He wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah,
But wasn't that disrespectful to the pioneers who paved the way for this game?
You lost it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You lost it.
would Julius Erving have been who he was if it were not for Connie Hawkins?
You lost it.
Would Michael Jordan had a model to emulate and elevate beyond if it were not for Julius Erving? What about Vince Carter when it comes to Michael Jordan? What about Kobe Bryant when it comes to Michael Jordan? What about Shaq when it came to Wilt or Kareem or Olajuwon?
I ain't gonna lie, Stephen A. Smith, you lost this one, boy. This is a bad one right here. Because you are purposely removing the context of the conversation. You're purposely removing the context of the conversation.
What about the birds of the world? When you think about Jerry West, when you think about somebody like that, the Kobe's of the world, the MJ's of the world, there was no Elgin Baylor or Oscar Robertson before them? You see, the point is...
Also, what does that have to do with somebody playing well in another era of basketball? I don't think that... I don't... Acknowledging that a player will go dominate in another era of basketball does not take away from
and he praised Pistol Pete.
Yeah, Pistol Pete, all them. The acknowledgement of a player in today's game going to dominate in another era of basketball is not taking anything away from the other players who played in that game. And obviously him saying 250 points a game is just him being hyperbolic. The reason why you get sensitive about it is because that's what y'all do. So when y'all hear that rhetoric, in your mind, you're internalizing like, oh shit, this is what I do when I disrespect current players. So he must be doing the same thing. So now I'm questioning, did you even listen to what was being said? Or are you still just reacting to clips on Twitter? Because it sounds like that's what you're doing right now.
Is you use previous greatness to measure what the level of greatness is currently as times have evolved. And you show an appreciation for it. You don't get upset because people are out there comparing one to the other. You're talking about championships. You're talking about leadership. You're talking about durability, which obviously LeBron is tops at. Not only capabilities, which he's on the Mount, that's why he's on the Mount Rushmore. I could simply sit up there and say, you know what, Giannis would have got his. Giannis would have been great, but he also would have got knocked on his ass a lot, and he would have went to the free throw line, and the free throw line was his Achilles heel, with the exception of that Game 6 closeout against Phoenix in the finals. Free throws have always been his Achilles heel, but he's phenomenal.
But the problem is that you don't say that when it's the inverse. That's the problem. The problem is that when it's the other way around, yes, you can also say that Iverson is amazing. But as soon as someone brings into the potential that Iverson might struggle in today's game because of the lack of three-point shooting and the level of just length at every single position, and maybe he won't be as good as people try to make him out to be, that's immediately deemed as hating when you bring and shed light to a little bit of truth about players maybe transcending to another era of basketball. But see, y'all don't do that, though. That's the problem, that it's not even-handed. So yeah, what you're saying is true. There are pros and cons to Giannis playing in the 70s. He overall said that Giannis will still dominate in the 70s, which I think anyone questioning that, you're silly. Obviously, any all-time great player should more than likely transcend any era of basketball, right? But the same way how you can highlight not just the positives, but also the negatives of Giannis's game that may lead to struggling, you don't do that about any player in today's game, and any other player in the past playing in today's game. And you all love to. It's a pastime of yours. And quite frankly, I personally believe the man you sat across that started your career with ESPN, or at least the fame of it all, he made a whole living off of the idea playing fantasy world of if Michael Jordan played in today's era, how many points would he score? That is something that Skip Bayless, he didn't start, but he certainly made famous. And yet when that occurred, you weren't sitting there talking about how, well, maybe this or maybe that could happen, you know, maybe XYZ. You weren't doing that. You all love to get off the hyperbolic takes. There's endless amount of clips and footage of you all talking about if X player in the 80s, 90s, 2000s played in today's game. Y'all do that all the time. And then y'all throw out an absurd number that they would average in today's NBA. Y'all do that all the time.
Able to look, and we're able to say, as we look at the great Allen Iverson, and we look at some of the great small guards in NBA history, we also have to take time to pause and remind them about this dude named Isaiah Thomas, who was phenomenal, with a heart and guts, and a leader of the physical bad boy Pistons. We look at the game. We talk about Steph Curry, the greatest shooter God has ever created. Oh, by the way, he plays a point guard. And oh, my Lord, the greatest point guard. And then a guy like Eddie Johnson for NBA Today or NBA Radio on Sirius XM reminds us all, wait a minute, my definition of a point guard is a quintessential floor facilitator, a floor general who facilitates for others, facilitates opportunities for others. That's why Steph Curry can't get that. That's got to be Magic Johnson. It's a crime. Bring up history, to look at the game and to compare it and have an opinion about it when the conversation unquestionably and undeniably involves greatness. If you're not great, you're not a part of that conversation. Nobody.
I just think he doesn't understand what he does, and that's a shame. But I think I genuinely believe that Stephen A. Smith does not comprehend the negative that he does in this conversation and the negative that is constantly happening. And the fact that the way in which LeBron spoke about Giannis is something that NBA players and older media members have been doing for decades now. This is not anything new. This dates back to when in the 90s, when Bird and Magic, and especially Wilt Chamberlain, got in front of a camera, and Wilt Chamberlain used to be trashing players in today's, or at that time, the 90s, all day, every day. Trash Kareem, trash Michael Jordan. It didn't speak highly of Shaq. I mean, he used to do that all the time. That has been an ongoing theme throughout NBA history, and nobody doesn't run in front of the camera and tries to defend the current players with the same level of fervor that y'all do for the past players, even when the current players are more accomplished and better than they are. And I'm not just saying that like, oh, everybody's better. I'm just saying, like, genuinely speaking, the way you defend someone like an Isaiah Thomas or a John Stockton, in my opinion, should not be in a higher defense than someone like a Stephen Curry. That nigga is significantly better. He's more accomplished. He means more to the sport than those two do. But if you want to defend them, and rightfully I understand that, then you also would need to do the exact same thing with the same level of energy, same level of attention to detail and care. The same reason why you lose your mind. What? All that bullshit you be doing, you don't do none of that shit for current players. You don't. Stop it, bro. Stop it.
Views that as a crime. But that man that showed up on Pat McAfee's show today, because he must be the GOAT.
I don't lie, Stephen A. Smith, you lost this one. Because, I mean, you stripped so much context from that conversation. You lost this one.
It can't be anything else.
You lost this one.
Specifically choked in. NBA Finals. There was a finals against Dallas that you specifically choked in. 4 consecutive fourth quarters of an NBA Finals series against Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks with Jason Terry or J.J. Barea, who resembled Mini-Me standing next to you, guarding you, and you averaged 2.2 points in the fourth quarter. As great as you are. Had nothing to do with your skill. Had nothing to do with their zone defense. Had nothing to do with your capabilities. Had everything to do with your heart. The rest of us didn't have the skill. You had everything, but also a 10-man syndrome at that time. Once you learn to win, nothing can stop you. If we only went about LeBron, if we only looked at LeBron James' career since he won his first championship, ladies and gentlemen, we could have the GOAT conversation. Because since he started winning, my God, it is what it is. But before that heart transplant that he needed, it is my belief Michael Jordan would have been in the hospital blocking the door every single time, figuratively speaking, to prevent him from having that heart transplant. He'd have shut him down, took his heart right out of his chest, and wouldn't have allowed him to have another heart. That's the difference.
I'm sorry. What is going on?
I don't know. I just don't know, bro. Bro, the day that people like Stephen A. Smith are off the air, it will be much better for NBA discourse. It'll just be way better for NBA discourse.
I'm sorry to like keep talking, but like, dog.
Yeah, I'm confused. Even though I understand where he's coming from, I don't know how the fuck we got here. It's just like he's just like, I need to just throw everything I can at this conversation right now. I just need to do everything. I don't even know how. I don't know how this got. And be very mindful. Be very, very mindful. In the interview, even LeBron James himself said I could have played better in the 2011 finals. So he's saying this as if like it wasn't even acknowledged by LeBron. It wasn't stated in the what you call it. I don't understand. Yeah, he said he fucked up. I don't understand where this is coming from.
That's how I feel. Others may think differently. Clearly that man does. And y'all gonna just sit here and act like that had nothing to do with him getting in my face.
My God, bro. This is main character syndrome. Wow. No.
Wow. Remember how I told y'all the story about I'd look at Rich Paul and them and I'd say, damn it, I got him on the Mount Rushmore. I got him number 2 all time. And y'all act like it's an insult. And Rich Paul looked at me and said, it is an insult. Where you get that from? Not to say that Rich Paul doesn't think for himself, because I know he does. But that man feels that way.
Or maybe all of them can feel that way. Fuck. Oh my God.
No, he doesn't like me. I don't like him either. My feelings about him are what they are, and is based on personal interactions and what I've seen in terms of how I believe he's treated others. This is my opinion. It's none of anybody's business beyond that. His feelings are about me talking about basketball, and y'all gonna let him get away. You're trying to classify me as somebody who would talk about him as a dad as if I exposed something that was happening in the privacy of their home in Brentwood somewhere, as opposed to me talking about what's going on in a Lakers uniform at the Crypto.com arena or elsewhere. Y'all gonna let me get away with that? Well, y'all go right ahead. I don't have to broach this subject anymore, but I will broach LeBron James any damn time I please. As long as he's playing this game, he's a relevant sports news topic. And I'm going to do my job professionally and ethically. I don't have to like him to do that.
Fuck.
And he doesn't have to like me in order for me to do it.
Fuck.
I don't get paid to talk to him. I get paid to talk about him. I would tell him he's welcome to talk to me anytime, but we all know that ain't gonna happen. As I told y'all before early in the show, just to make sure that it wasn't something that I would benefit from in terms of ratings or anything like that, I offered to come on the show when they confronted me. This was a couple years ago. It's never happened. Because it's a little bit different when you got to say some of the stuff right in front of the person and the person has facts to refute what you're saying. Maybe that's why he didn't want to meet me in the back after the game to have a conversation at the Lakers game. Maybe that's why he didn't come up to me and say, wait for me, I need to talk to you. Maybe. I'm not going away, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have to talk to LeBron James. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm doing fine. There are beat writers and other reporters that have to talk to him. I don't. And to be quite honest with you, at this point, don't much want to. I wish him well. I'm looking forward to covering him as his career slowly crawls to its end. And I'll be one of the first thanking him for the greatness he's put on display. As a basketball player, I, like everybody else, will miss him when he's gone. As a man, in terms of how I firmly believe he elected to handle this situation with the cameraman behind him and all this other stuff.
Bro, he genuinely, oh my, hey, my nigga, hey, man, I can't, bro. I can't, there's another angle of it, bro. Oh my God. He genuinely believes it's a setup, bro. I can't, bro. I can't.
I think it's shady as hell. That's how I feel. That's where I stand. And there's little to nothing that he can do to change my mind at this point. God bless him and his family. Wish him nothing but the best. Look forward to talking to y'all about other NBA topics as well. And I don't give a damn what y'all say. It was no way in hell I was going to let that man talk the BS that he spewed today, and I have a response to it. That was not going to happen. I'm out, y'all. This is Stephen A. Smith Show signing off.
Bro, let Stephen A. run up a bag in peace, my nigga.
That's just really what it is.
When I saw that this nigga started off the stream talking about, join me, Bill O'Reilly, and Chris Como on our I said, man, this nigga just about $1, bro. You know what? Let me just leave this nigga alone. Let him make his little.
Yeah, man.
Not little money, man. No little money. Let him make his money in peace, man. That nigga ain't serious, bro. He don't believe what he just said. So I mean, shit. You know he all over the place. He don't give a fuck.
Alright. That is the markings of someone who genuinely is delusional, bro. He blaming LeBron for everything bad that happened to the NBA, from Chris Paul not getting to the Lakers to Dan Gilbert being upset as if like that man just wasn't going to be upset anyway, to a bunch of people including Stephen A. Smith lying about who Bronny James was as an NBA player, to JJ Redick getting the job. I mean, like everything bad that has happened to the NBA, it's all LeBron. To the All-Star game being dysfunctional, the
Dunk
dunk
contest.
contest being
Yep.
bad, all that shit is his fault. All of it is his fault.
Teaming up, joining up.
All
Super
all
teams.
that's all his fault. All that shit is his fault. And
Load
again,
management.
load management, all that shit, flopping, all that shit is his fault, bro. And I want everybody to be clear. I am not a super LeBron fan the way that y'all are, but this shit right here, this shit right here, this right here makes me understand where a lot of LeBron fans come from, because that right there, bro, you are an egomaniac. The conclusions that he just came to were crazy. And again, even if all those things were true, it still was for the benefit of the NBA, because you, my brother, you make more money than you've ever made in your lifetime because of LeBron. That's a fact. You make more money than you've ever made in your lifetime because of LeBron, because you cover a sport that man has been able to excel in for over 20 years. You do. You benefit off of that. Oh my God, the decision was so bad. Oh my gosh, you benefited from that. The ratings across the board at ESPN, highest they had ever been. Ever. Because of LeBron. League revenue peaked all-time highs because of LeBron. Viewership, the highest that it had been post-Jordan era. The highest it had ever been in the cable era because of LeBron. But everything got it. I mean, Jesus. But you deciding to purposely not in like show the full context of the clips, that shit is crazy to me.